In this video, I'm going to be talking about my Honda SS100 V Twins and my SS180 V Twin. We'll have a quick look inside one of the engines and hear a few run. I built my first Honda SS100 engine at a motorcycle show in 1999, and then when the bike was finished, I rode it around for several years before selling it to the Barber Museum in Birmingham, Alabama, where it's currently on display alongside my Kawasaki V12 and V8. This is my second SS100 that I made in 2012 to replace the one that I sold to the Barber Museum. My second SS100 is very slightly different to the first. It has a silver painted headlight rather than chrome and no indicators, and a slightly bigger seat hump with a big 12-volt battery. The carburetors have bell mouths rather than K&N filters. The rear wheel has stainless steel polished spokes and new chrome, which is a lot better than the wheel it came with when I bought the donor bike. The rear sprocket has only 32 teeth to up the gear ratio for the V Twin engine. The left-hand switchgear has been removed and I welded up the slot and polished it down smooth. And the right-hand switchgear is standard, with the on, low and high for the headlight. When I made the megaphone exhaust system, I tucked it in tight and close to the frame. Here's my third SS100 parked next to my second. This one has a polished aluminium seat hump that I made from one sheet of metal. I was very proud of that. Other than these differences, the third SS100 is pretty much the same as the second SS100, so let's have a look inside the engine. I'd recently had a slight problem with my gearbox. It was clicking in fourth, so I thought, let's take it out, strip it all down and find out what's wrong. With the engine out and stripped, this is what I found. The fourth gears both had a tooth missing. So with the faulty gears replaced and everything clean, I can start putting the engine back together. This is the crankshaft, which is made from standard SS50 crankshaft parts. That's the first thing to go back in. With the crankshaft in, I check that it rotates and it spins free. Because the SS100 engine's got a vertical split crankcase, I always use a bit of Permatex Ultra Grey sealant on the joint along with the gasket. I showed how I made my gaskets in a previous video, so you can see how it's done there. With a thin smear of gasket sealant applied, I place the gasket on. This goes on in two pieces and is pressed down. A thin smear of Ultra Grey is then applied to the right-hand crankcase joint. Now I can install the right-hand crankcase, lowering it carefully over the crankshaft and gearbox main shafts and pressing down onto the dowels. I always check the crankshaft rotates and the gearbox rotates, but on this engine you have to do up the little selector drum screw first to hold the selector drum in the correct place, and then you can check your gears by rotating the selector drum and getting first, second, third, fourth and neutral, which it does lovely. Next, I installed the gear change shaft and selector mechanism and engaged it with the selector drum. And then I just checked that it moves to make sure it's not caught. The next thing I'll be fitting is the clutch and primary drive cog. Well, the primary drive cog always goes on first, followed by the clutch. The clutch incorporates a centrifugal oil filter in these four galleries and sometimes gets a build-up of crud. In this case it was clean. I then fit the tab washer, the spring-loaded Bellevue washer, and the castle nut, which spins down freely by finger. Then, using a special castle socket on my ratchet, I tighten the castle nut. With the castle nut tight, I bend up the tab washer with a screwdriver. Then, replace the clutch cover and its 4 screws. I then fit a new outer clutch cover gasket and the clutch cover, securing all the screws tight. With the bottom end complete, it's time to fit the rear piston, so I place it down over the connecting rod, press in the gudgeon pin and fit the circlip. Then fit the rear barrel, making sure the piston is set at top dead centre. The one-piece cam chain is then threaded through the rear cam tunnel, around the crankshaft and out through the front cam tunnel. I then fit the rear cam chain idler and rear cam sprocket with a little O mark pointing towards the top. Gently lower the cylinder head down and engage the sprocket onto the camshaft and place in 3 screws and tighten. I then replace the rear rocker cover, followed by the 4 M6 nuts, and tighten. Next on is the front barrel and piston, feeding the cam chain up through the cam tunnel as I go. I then replace the front cylinder head in the same way as I did for the rear. With both cylinder heads fitted, I temporarily fit the flywheel to check the cam timing. To do this, I line up top rear with a mark on the engine, like that, and the 0 on the cam sprocket needs to be in line with the dent at the top of the cylinder head. Then I repeat the same for the front, and they're both perfect. I'm well pleased with that. The last thing to do is to fit the 2 side covers to the cylinder heads. These are held on with 2 Phillips screws and a long bolt that goes right through the centre of the camshaft and screws into a cover on the opposite side of the cylinder head. With the engine back together, let's go outside and hear them run. Some are original recordings from 2011, others were done just the other day. To make the SS180, I used the engine from a Honda C90, a 1974 6-volt version. I converted the clutch from automatic to manual and fitted the 4-speed gearbox from the Honda S90. The crankcase modifications were quite straightforward. I couldn't make the V angle 90 degrees because I needed to make sure the frame was strong enough for the extra power. This bike would do 80 miles an hour. The SS180 has a totally different sound to the SS100s and is very free revving. Thanks for watching this video. I had great fun making it. Please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future videos, and check out my channel. There's loads of cool stuff to see.